Alright, we're back. We're going to work on the top tube now. Get that all taken care of, or apart. Show you how that works. So we're also going to take off this front pump guide rod, and then we'll put that back together and show you how that works. It's a little bit faster. If you watch the T2 videos, frankly, you're going to know how to do this, but it is a little bit different on the T2, so I'll show you how that works. First thing is to pull this pin out and take that out there. Watch the T2 video if you want to see a little bit more on that. If that's real tight going back in, you can take this bolt pin, add some lubrication when it goes back in here, and it won't be as tight. So sometimes that can be hard to get out. Take your time, work that. That's been taken apart enough for me that it comes apart very cleanly. Inspect the bolt here. Make sure there's no striations or any marks there that makes it dirty. You can see it's getting a little bit worn for me, and when it does get a little bit too worn, I'll grab 1000 grit sandpaper and clean that up. It just keeps everything running smooth. A little bit of water, a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper. You can usually get that at auto supply places, and just real lightly clean that all back up. Set that aside for now. Now, the T2 has two arms, as you saw in that video, but the Series 6.5 only has one arm. This comes off real easy. A little quarter turn here, and it slides right off the end and can be set aside. Now, let me set the body aside. For the sake of just taking it all apart, you can take this back part off here, the back block, which is a very small piece, clean that up if need be, and grab your 1/8 inch Allen key and take off the pump handle from the pump plate and arm. I wouldn't take this arm off the pump plate, excuse me, because it has been Loctited in and is not really meant to come off. If it's really dirty, grab some long-handled Q-tips, clean inside there, clean it all out. I'm going to put it right back together right now. You can see how very rarely that needs to come apart. I just want to show you what that looks like. They had made in the past, CCM made longer pump handles and short pump handles. In fact, now they make a bunch of different styles of pump handles. I like the round ones, so I stick with that, but you can get the T-grip guys and easy grips, and they make a lot of different stuff out there. So take a look at that on Shipley's website and see what's available. What do you think will work? If you get a chance to borrow, a couple of different types at the fields you play at, that'd be awesome too. And just make your decision. But they come off with 2 or 3 screws here. So that's off. I'm going to put this back on too, so it's real easy to reassemble when I get done. And that just goes basically back almost tight. Back to the top tube here. And what we've got is, and you need a 1/16 wrench for this, plate that holds on the detent. And there's 2, one on each side. I'll only be taking off one. 1/16 screw takes that right off. And there sits your detent, still in this hole. Now how that works is, it sits here in that little cover. There's your screw. It's been keyholed and recessed. And the screw's in there. And your detent goes right in there. It's a 3-part design. Detent, screw, cover. Okay? Clean all that up, especially if you get barrel breaks. If you've been chopping paint and stuff, take that all apart. And double check to make sure that this nubbin, this little detent, is in good shape. You want that to be the full length. Always check that out first thing when you get a marker, so you know what that looks like. And then replace it if it looks worn or folded over or anything like that. And those are Intimidator or Spider detents. So 1/16 again goes right back in. And that's taken care of. Again, there's one on either side. Take those apart. I'm only going to show you one because I don't need to take both of mine apart right now. Now you need a 3/16 to get this pump arm off. It's technically on the bottom too, but I'll take it off in this video. Because that last video gets a little bit long if I don't. That rarely needs to come off there. But I do polish these when I take them off. You can see this has got a little bit of rub on it. Nothing big, but I'll take it over to my polishing wheel, polish that up. And then when I reassemble, I'll use a little bit of Hader sauce marmalade Okay, and I'll put it on this O-ring on the inside and out. It sits in a little recess in there, so I want to make sure that it's sealing on both sides. And then I'll put this back together. Yours might not have this fluting. CCM has done away with that fluting. I always kind of like the touch, but they've done away with it. It doesn't really make a difference. The weight is negligible, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. The next step is, and I'm going to need a 5/32. The next step is getting off this feed neck so that I can get to the screws. I want to tighten this up so I can grab a hold of it. I use the neck. Maybe I can grab a hold of it here. Maybe not. There we go. Take that off. Probably was Bluetooth Loctited on. That's why it was a little tight. No big deal. This is a full-size feed neck. You can get a No Pro or things like this. I did want to show you guys this. This is a Winchester feed neck. These can be exchanged once you've taken off the 2 screws here. And let me do that real quick before I talk about that. I think I need a 5/64 for this. I do. 5/64 Allen key will take off these 2 screws. Okay. You might have black Allen screws. You might have chrome, or nickel plated, I should say, or stainless steel, I should say. Either way, it doesn't really matter. These ones happen to be black. In the T2 video, you saw a No Pro rise. This is a full rise. It's got a USMC band. You can get custom bands made from CCM. This is one that Rod gave me when I first met him back in 2006 because I used to be in the Marine Corps. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But you can see how if you were trying to fit on a Winchester hopper onto a standard feed neck, it'd be really difficult to get it to fit and not be just all wobbly and sloppy. So they added this Winchester feed neck that's a little bit different. It holds the Winchester a little bit tighter. You can order that again from CCM. Or if you want to run modified stock class, you can get a stock class add-on, which is a cram and jam, meaning it holds 1 stock class tube jammed in the back. There, now that's seated. And it holds it on there, 10 rounds. Works for the T2 or the Series 6.5. Again, you can get this from CCM. Those take slightly different screws, so don't make a mistake of putting these longer screws. These are the screws that are used for the cram and jam, and those are the screws that are used for the feed neck. Regardless of what you use, you now have taken it off. Clean it up, and then quickly, you can put it back together. Oops. I don't want to put that on first, and I'll show you why that is. I want to put this back on first, just so I can get to the screws a little bit more readily. That's why I leave that feed neck without Loctite on it. For 2 reasons. One, if I go into a bunker hard, it allows that hopper to rotate and not break my feed neck off. But 2, it allows this to come off really easily, then I can get to my screws, and then I can screw this back down. This is proprietary CCM threads. So that's if you call and you want something different, and you have this base, you want the Winchester, just make sure it's CCM threaded. Okay? And then this takes a 5/32 to loosen that back up, so that it is straight upon reassembly. There we go. And that's pretty much it for the top tube. The top tube doesn't have a lot on a 6.5, but I need to finish putting it back together. This goes like that. The bolt goes back in here. Make sure you're putting the bolt back in correctly with the air passage down. All right. You don't want the air passage the other way, or else you will not get paint to come out your barrel. Well, it'll come out. It'll go about 2 feet. And then make sure this gets seated flush. If it's not flush, it will not push that hammer back and won't recock the marker. Okay? Another thing, when you're taking this apart, technically this is on the bottom too, but make sure that this guide rod is parallel with this guide rod. You don't want any binding anywhere. So you can take, you know, the hammer off, or the the bolt out, and make sure that that's just moving. That should just be just freestyle, baby. That should be really smooth. I'm gonna drop a Tri-Flow on here. Like I talked about before, Tri-Flow is the only lubrication that doesn't swell Delrin, so I always put a drop on there. A little bit goes a long way. I have a little extra on the bolt, so I'll take a little bit off the bolt and I'll put it on these two guide rods. And you can see that thing is just darn near recocking itself. So that's it for the top tube. I'll take that back apart, and then we'll go back into the bottom tube in the next video. See you then.